video.
And if they focus on my name, just 'cause she
Alright, what is up guys? Welcome back to the channel. This is a follow-up video to the video last week in regards to the motor possibly being hurt, which it definitely is, man. So it's running maybe 70-75% of what it should be. That snappy, incredible power throttle response that it had before is virtually gone. So basically what it feels like is that it's really low on compression, but even more so is that there is some type of resistance going on in the motor, because there is a ton of engine braking. Not braking like snapping, but I mean engine brake. So like when you're in gear and you let off the throttle, you can feel the resistance of the motor, and there's a shit ton. So that tells me internally the bearings are fucked up, or the like I said before, or those cylinders got really just ate up from the dry piston rings going up and down. And I think that's probably what we saw in regards to the couple of flakes in the bottom of the oil. But that very fine silver look on top on the oil surface and throughout the oil, that was most likely the top layer of the bearing. But anyways, we do have a new release, guys. I don't know if you follow our Instagram, which is Half Lane Performance. You saw this literally within a day we sold out of our lightweight pulleys. So we have the Gen 2, Gen 3. The only gens they don't fit is the Gen 1, which is like J30a1, J32a2, because those have a dual belt accessory drive setup, where all the generations after that, they all run off of one belt. So let me show you guys this. Alright guys, so we actually got them in on Saturday. We had 10 in stock. We were unsure what the demand would be like, so we only ordered 10. Literally guys, within Saturday and a little bit of Sunday, we were sold out. That was it. You guys are just incredible. But these are our pulleys. They're full size lightweight pulleys, as you can see here. They are CNC'd. They are precision balanced to just under a quarter gram. So they are extremely well balanced. They are on sale through the month of September. We will have more in stock next week. So by the time you guys see this video, we should have some in stock, or we'll be like a couple days away from having some in stock. But as you can see here, guys, these pulleys are amazing. I mean, the precision is just incredible. But they are actually they weigh 1.4 pounds. So they weigh 1 pound 4 ounces. And if you guys are familiar with any other pulleys, usually underdrive pulleys are going to be just shy of 1 pound. So they're going to be right at 1 pound, where our pulley is 1.4 pounds. But the great pro to having a full-size crank pulley is that you're not underdriving the accessories. That's why they call it a UD, or underdrive pulley, because it's smaller. It's a much smaller belt, or it's a much smaller pulley. And what that does, like I said, it underdrives the accessories. And when you underdrive the alternator, that means you are not charging the battery as much as you should be. And with that comes a low battery charge, especially if you run say subwoofers or a sound system. You guys are definitely going to feel it. I wouldn't leave the car on for very long. And then like me, I run 5 gauge pods, or gauges. So I run, I mean, air, fuel, oil pressure, oil temp, boost, and RPM shift light. So that's 5. And then on top of that, I have the LCD, or the touchscreen radio, so that's additional. Then I have the GPS, so that's what I'm getting at, guys. And top of that, I run a really small battery, so I feel the effects constantly. The car is hard to start sometimes, but with our underdrive pulley, you're not sacrificing any additional weight, really. It's 4 ounces, which is next to nothing. So we are not only coming in damn near the same weight as an underdrive pulley, but you have none of the ill effects of an underdrive pulley. Hope that makes sense. And I think I misspoke before. We do have timing marks on the pulley. I think I told somebody that we don't, but we do have timing marks on the pulley. So beautiful. But anyways, like I said, in the month of September, they're going to be on sale. They will be $110. So if you're familiar with, once again, if you're familiar with aftermarket pulleys, most pulleys like UD, they are around $160 to $200. So not only do we have the precision, the lightweight, CNC, made in the USA, directly here in Florida. So all those little haters that say, oh, it's made in China, it's fucking not made in China, it's made in Florida. Fucking hater. But anyways, what was I saying? So yeah, they're going to be on sale for the release through the month of September. They're only going to be $110, and then our normal retail price is only $119. So guys, this is an incredible another mod that you can have. It reduces the parasitic loss, or it helps reduce the parasitic loss, because the stock pulley is 8 pounds. 8.6 pounds, where this pulley is 1.4. So right there, we're taking off 7 pounds, over 7 pounds of weight. And what that does, there's parasitic loss on the accessory drive. So what that does, it gains you 7 to 10 wheel horsepower for only $110. On top of that is the throttle response, and that's what I fell in love with personally when running these. The throttle response is literally improved 20-30%. I mean, you just tap the throttle and it gets going, and that's something that's going to be very, very noticeable after you install our product, our Halferland Performance lightweight crank pulley, full size. So anyways guys, let's get to the point of this video. I just wanted to show you this new release and let you know that we sold out, but we will have more in stock by this week whenever you see the video, or a couple days after that. All right, so for a lot of you OG guys that have been with the channel for a while, you will know that my beast motor is going to be the J35a7. That's going to be my 800 horsepower daily driver J35, and it's right there, J35a7. That has 108,000 miles on it, so it is pretty much damn near fresh, just broken in. This is a J35a3, and this has 118,000 miles on it. So what I'm trying to do today is I'm trying to determine what I want to do with the new motor, because the motor in the J32 it's still good, it's still salvageable, we can repair it, pull the motor. So right now I'm just gonna basically park the motor, or park the car, because I really don't want to do any more damage at the moment. 90% sure that crank is still fine, 90% sure pistons are reusable, rods are reusable. Basically all it needs is a rehone and new bearings, and that would be it. And of course might re-gap the piston rings. Actually, those should be good too. No, never mind, I changed my mind. I'd probably replace those because they were scraping up and down the cylinder wall with no oil. Alright guys, so if you are an OG or you follow my videos for a little bit of time, you will recall me saying that I thought that maybe a Gen 1 motor, which would be like a J30A1, J32A2, J35A1 through A4. I thought that it would possibly be able to fit in a Gen 2 motor, or a Gen 2 motor vehicle, such as a 7th Gen Accord, 3rd Gen TL, the 3.2. But it doesn't look like it would be the case, because what I saw is that you could possibly take off the front bracket, because the bracket's different. You can see here, this is where the alternator mounts, and then the compressor comes down there, where this is totally different. It doesn't even have those. So I figured that you could swap those over, which you could. Only 3 of the 4 bolts would align, but the biggest issue I found is this area right here, the crank position. So let me show you that real quick. Alright guys, so as you can see here, the crank sensor is definitely different. So you can see how this crank sensor, it lives over here, and the plug is completely different. If you can see from that plug to that plug. So you see the difference there. The only issue you may have is actually finding how to put this crank sensor in. So, let me see, how many wires is that? That's a 2-wire. And that's a fucking 6-wire. All right, so maybe you can't. Maybe it will be an issue. I'll have to look into that a little more, because this is that's a 2-wire crank sensor, and then this is a 5-wire or 6-wire crank sensor. So that is actually going to be quite different. You can't just cut and repin or rewire like I thought maybe you could. So that is not going to work. And again, guys, this is a J35a3. This is a J35a7. This will drop in to a 7th gen Accord or a 3rd gen TL, the 04 to 06 3.2. It has a squared off bell housing. The heads will not work. You'll have to pull the heads and swap them over, because this is a VCM motor where it cuts off the rear bank. So when you're cruising to save gas, it will actually disengage the entire rear bank or the 3 cylinders. So looking at this, guys, I thought maybe I'd be able to use this, but there's really no room for the crank sensor, and it reads. I gotta find out where it reads. So let me grab some tools and get that open. Alright, so what I'm trying to do here is just gain access to this crank sensor so I can see exactly where it reads, where it catches that reading off of this pulley. Alright, so that's the connection. So it looks like it's catching it back here, okay? Yep, so that's going to be like the magnet or the sensor that it's catching it, and it reads off of these little marks right here. So as they go by, that's how it determines the crank position. And if you look at this crank pulley, you can see how much different it really is, or this timing pulley right here. You can see the difference. Let me see if I can pull this bitch off. Huh? Oh. All right. How does that get out? Does it just snap out? It should just come out. Maybe I'm on. All right, there you go. Yeah, it was just kind of wedged in there. I couldn't get it out. So if you look here, it's pretty obvious where the pickup is on this pulley, or this crank sensor. It's obviously right here. And as it, see there, as it passes on these, on those marks, that's how it picks up the how it senses where the crank position is. So this is quite different than this. So that's where it picks up on here. You can see the difference there. This one picks up on the back side, this one picks up on the front side. But what's even worse is that these connections are completely different. Again, this is a 6-wire crank sensor, where that is a 2-wire. So this does not look like it's gonna work, guys. I thought maybe it did. I guess not. But hey, if anyone needs a good J35, 118,000 miles, J35a3, so it would go on the Gen 1 motor, hit me up. I know it's good, it's been tested, it's been ran. So once again, guys, if you need a J35a3 motor ready to go, hit me up. All right, so like I said in the last video, guys, this is actually going to be the power plant for a race car. It is a J30a4. It has the fuse box, which I needed because that one had a shitload of water in it. I bought the car for $100. Got a dash with it. Got the full MT harness. So if anybody needs a manual transmission harness, I got you. Basically complete. Best of all, comes with a working transmission. The guy I bought it from did say that the motor is locked up, so I'm not sure if somebody bent the valve and that is what's causing the motor from not rotating. Probably, because we looked at everything else and everything else seems fine. Outside of that, I'm not too sure what would cause it to lock up, but the transmission shifts fine and doesn't have any issues. So this motor is going to get torn apart anyways, and if it's fucked up, I still have the old motor and over there in the race car, but it does not have a transmission. So I have this transmission, and I also have my spare transmission. That's the one that ate third gear after running Streetcar Takeover. About 2 weeks after Streetcar Takeover, it ate third gear because I was pushing more than I ever did. I was pushing about 600 wheel horsepower. The weather was perfect, boosting 9.5 pounds, exactly where I wanted to be, and it was just too much load, too much traction on the car or on that transmission. And keep in mind that transmission had 200,000 miles on it. So not only did it run 100,000 miles on 100 shot of nitrous at 350 wheel horsepower and 340 wheel torque, I also then boosted it to damn near 600 wheel horsepower, and it had 200,000 miles on it. And finally it said, time to go. But the goal is to get this fucking thing out. I want to get this motor, this entire power plant assembly out, and then I'm going to use the engine hoist to lift the J35a7 to get it up on a stand, so we can start disassembling and start getting that Forged J35 going. Alright guys, well, here's the current motor lineup. We have coming in on the left side a J30a4, unknown mileage, locked up, but full powertrain with 6-speed transmission and MT harness. Number 2, in the middle, we have a J35a7. This is going to be the beast daily driver. It has piston oil squirters to cool the pistons under high boost. It also only has 108,000 miles on it. Prime, good to go. You can see how healthy it is. This will be the beast that gets the forged internals. Next, we have a J35a3. This may just be a parts motor, but with the low mileage, 118,000 miles, I think I want to sell it because it is a perfect candidate for a straight drop-in motor. There's no point tearing it apart and taking the crank and pistons and everything out, because why? It's a waste, you know what I mean? It's a good assembled motor. Literally drop it in and go. Only thing that's been taken out is the rocker assembly and cams. That's it. So then over here we have the original, the ultimate original beast, and you can see what happened here. Ate a valve because Mr. Halferland Performance himself was testing out different cams and decided to go a little too big. So when I say, guys, I've been testing these cams for damn near 3 years and multiple setups, I'm telling you, that's what I did. I ran just about every fucking setup until it was beast, and that's why I say our cams, hands down, are the best drop-in J-series cam on the market, period. You can look at the customer reviews online. We actually have customers that have swapped between other name brand stage 2 cams to ours, and even then, even though they were both stage 2, he still picked up 15 wheel horsepower, with another customer saying the same damn thing, identical, damn near identical to exactly what the other guy did. So that's just something to take into account. But this is a this was the original beast J30 A5, 200,000 miles on it. Like I said, it took 100,000 miles on 100 shot, and the only reason it gave out was because I just went way too fucking aggressive on the cams. This is the J32 that absolutely got destroyed. You can see here, that's nothing. That's a baby hole. The other side, I mean, there's literally, I think I counted 12 different holes in the block. So this guy got fucked up. If you remember, this was the instance where I was rushing around and I wanted to swap the motor in. So this was a junkyard. No, this was my good motor. This was my motor that I went through, rebuilt, did everything I should have. And it was a stupid fucking tuning issue. So on my own car, I don't do this with any other customers' cars or anything when I'm tuning. I sit up in my office and I tune. Where here, being it's my personal car, I was tuning upstairs, and then I was walking down. I put the Flash Pro module on top of it, and I heard something, the noise, like I hit a button, and I went through and I looked and I didn't see anything. So I uploaded the I uploaded the tune, went for a drive. And anyways, come to find out, the car was boosting 40 degrees of timing at max boost, which was around 8 psi at that time. And only the fucked up thing was, the only column that got changed was the peak boost column. So literally, the most boost you can run was the most timing any other column had. It was 40 degrees of timing. Guys, I don't even run 30 degrees of timing at 0 at vacuum, basically wide open throttle for an NA motor. I don't even run 40 degrees of timing. So that just tells you how much this motor took. It was an absolute beast. I'm surprised it even took that much. I'm surprised it went above 35 degrees of timing before it blew up, but I still have the data log to that. I like looking it over. It's just something to tell you, you know, the thing not to do. And I've never done that before, never did it again. It was just one of those things. I was just like, fuck. So from now I take when I'm tuning and I have to come down, like I said before, I don't do this with any other car, because if it's a customer car, I sit in my office and I tune there. But when I do it on my car and I tune upstairs, I will save the tune, I'll close the laptop, I'll bring it over, and then I will go back in and I will upload that same tune I just saved, just to make sure I don't do that again. But these are the rods and pistons in there. But these are basically just junk part motors. Really, there's no good parts on here. Maybe water pump, crank is fucked up. You can see the crank's fucked up. But if you look at the journals are fucking amazing. They're beautiful. You wouldn't even have to micro polish these. These are so nice. But obviously the counterweights are fucked up, so you can't do that. Honestly, I'm not going to use anything from this motor. It's just going to be a trash. This motor, possibly I can save some parts and use something if I need to for the race car J30. But again, guys, I have another J30 in the car already. Only thing that car didn't come with was trans, ECU, key ignition, and shifter box and transmission. I don't know if I said transmission already, but that's what it came for. But I got the car for $100. How can you complain, right? All right, so now what I want to do, I want to get that J35a7. I want to go ahead and get it on the engine stand so we can start pulling it apart and examining it. And guys, I am not in any rush to get this motor done, because that J35a7 was always going to be my beast 800 horsepower daily motor. So until that thing is perfect, it is not going to go in the car. I don't want this J32 curse to come back on the J35. I've never had this many fucking stupid issues. Just when I got the J32 set ready to go, there was absolutely nothing wrong, guys. All the kinks were worked out. There was no oil. The oil return wasn't backing up and smoking. The tune was spot on. Literally, guys, I have been looking to try to get tuned for the last month. And of course, if you've seen my other videos, every time I go to Proven Power, who's the shop I dyno at, something always happens. Exhaust clamp gets ripped off. I fucking fuck up something somehow. Something always happens when I'm trying to tune, and I don't know what it is, but it's some fucking crazy curse. And then, like I said here, I've been trying to tune for the last month to get that thing tuned, because I know for a fact it's at least 560 wheel horsepower, because a 3,400 pound car, obviously you got to add in all the weight for the turbo, all the extra piping, all that shit, car seat in the back. A 3,400 pound car does not trap 130 in the quarter mile unless it's 560 wheel horsepower plus. So all the fucking haters that say, oh, he hasn't fucking dynoed, get the fuck out of here. If you know half of anything about racing, you know that you can calculate wheel horsepower off of trap speed. Been doing it for fucking years, guys. For years. Not years, decades. Decades and decades and decades. Guys, racers have been doing it. So when they say that shit, I just kind of laugh, because you know they're just trying to hate. That's all they're doing. But anyways, guys, oh my god, shit. Anyways, I guess they got a little something more to laugh at, because I got bad luck and ripped the oil cooler fitting and the car's fucked up. So I guess I'll get the last laugh after that bitch is in. That's for damn sure. I don't know if you saw over there, but she is off of the lift and she is on the engine stand. What I'm doing here, this is actually the crank pulley bolt, and I like to put some anti-seize on there, especially when working on the motor. What this does, it helps keep it free. So when you're like spinning the crank over with the entire rotating assembly in there, sometimes you can actually lock this bolt into the crank, and it's a pain in the ass to get off. So I just throw some anti-seize on there and put it on, and then whenever the motor is complete, ready to go, I rinse it back off. And so obviously it doesn't want to back out whenever the motor is assembled. So just a little trick I learned, guys. It's a pain in the ass sometimes. So what I want to do, I want to turn this motor over, and I want to see how it rotates. Make sure that it rotates freely, there's no issues. It does have the pistons in there, so there's going to be a little more resistance, but in general it shouldn't be bad at all. Let me see. No, I should be able to do it with just a normal ratchet. Should be able to go pretty easily. And if I'm not mistaken, should be a 19. It's a 17. I think the 19's on the, yeah, no, 14. It's the 14. Where's the 19 at? So, all right, let's see what she turns over like. Oh, beautiful, man. Super smooth, super nice. Right there. Oh, I can even hear the compression. That's dope. And guys, what's different about these, as you can see here, these are basically flat pistons. So this J35a7 is 10-to-1 compression, where J32a2, where did I put them? Where are those pistons at? What the fuck? You guys remember where I put the pistons? So if you remember, J35a2 or a3, there it are. There they are. You can see how much more domed they are. You see that dome there? So I don't know if you could tell the difference there, but this is a 10-to-1 compression on the stroke. Honestly, you cannot put these in here and you will not get 11-to-1, because the stroke, the compression ratio is calculated off the stroke, off the piston dome, off the cylinder compression dome, and did I say stroke? Yeah, stroke, and then bore. So that's how compression is, compression ratio is calculated. So you put a J32A3 piston into a J35, the stroke is different, so the volume is different. You're actually compressing that way more than what you normally what you do on a J32. I hope that makes sense. So it doesn't correlate like that. You can't just put a J32A3 piston in a J35A7 and think that you're getting 11-to-1. Really, you're going to be closer to 12-to-1 compression, which this is me thinking, do I want to do that or stay 10-to-1? I think I'm gonna stay 10-to-1, guys. I love high compression boosted motors, but I think 10-to-1 is okay for what I'm doing, and I think the J35 will have plenty of grunt to have that throttle response that I like so much in a higher compression motor. So I think I'm gonna stay 10-to-1. And guys, we don't have any well, we don't have our pistons yet, so I think I'm gonna stay stock pistons, because as I said before, and I've shown in a video, the #1 issue when boosting a stock motor is the piston ring gap. Not the pistons, but the piston ring gap. So stock pistons have been shown to go 700-800 wheel horsepower without any issue whatsoever. And the issue comes into the ring gap, the stock ring gap. The gap is very tight, and as these motor heats up, the rings heat up, and what that does, they expand, and when they expand, that gap right there, they butt together, and then they lift up on this part where the ring sits in. That's called a ringland. It pushes up on that and it ends up cracking the ringland, and that is exactly what happened to that motor when I put it in and I was running around 600 wheel horsepower. Exactly what happened. The rings butted, and you can even see it cracked perfectly. It cracked here and it cracked there and just snapped it off, and right there, boom, blown piston. So I had to pull the motor back out. I had to get a new piston, which I did, and I replaced them, and I filed the pistons to a larger gap for boost, and I actually think I went a little too big on there, so I'm actually going to dial that back now. For the piston ring gap that I went on the current motor that's in there now, that piston ring gap is good for like 8 to 1,000 wheel horsepower. So being that I only want to run 600-700, I think I'm just gonna I'm gonna dial that down a little bit, because there definitely was a loss in compression. The compression ratio definitely went down after I gapped the rings. Obviously, because the ring gap, there's a little more gap for the air to escape, so it essentially lowers the compression. But looking at the motor, guys, she looks all right. Got a little thing right there. I might have her decked. Might go ahead and deck this this block to be safe. But even then, that's not an issue, because the copper gasket spray that I use, it fills in all these little crevices and stuff. What you really want to look for is that the deck is flat. So what we can do, we can go ahead and we can deck this, bring it to the machine shop and have them just lightly resurface this to level it out, because you might have a couple waves and stuff and you just want it level. Usually the blocks are pretty good, especially at this mileage, so I may not do it. I'm going to get a straight edge and I'm going to go over it and make sure everything's good. But really what I have seen go are the heads. Even after like 120,000 miles on that motor, I pulled the heads off and the heads were starting to warp. So anytime I pull a head off, I always machine them, always, no matter what. So because you got to think, when you're torquing those things down, you're torquing the heads down, you're torquing them down to 80-90 foot-pounds. So it does play a role, especially with the ARPs. I'm bolting them down to 95 foot-pounds, almost 100. So that's a lot of pressure to be on them. But honestly, guys, I think these pistons are going to be nice. I think this will be all right for what I'm trying to achieve. Even 800, if I want to push these to 800, I think I can on a relatively safe tune. You know, a little on the fat side on the AFRs and a little light on timing. I think I'll be all right. So there it is right there, guys, J35a7. And the main reason I picked this motor is because of the piston oil squirter. So down in the cylinders, there are basically little nozzles, and those little nozzles spray oil on the underside of the piston. And what that does, as I was saying before, it actually cools the piston. And the reason I wanted that was because I knew getting into this, just as that happened on the J32A3, I knew the #1 issue, just from experience and other people's experience, was that the piston ring gap on stock rings is too tight. Literally, the limit I would run a stock piston ring gap stock block, J-series block, would be about 550 wheel horsepower. You may be able to push it to 600 plus, but I would go super light on the timing, and I would go fat on the AFRs. But that's not what I want to do. I want to run this baby exactly at her happy spot. And so I went ahead and I got a J35a7, man. So that should definitely help with that ring gap, which is why I'm also going to run the ring gap a little tighter than I did on the J32A3. Damn, guys, I don't know if you can see that at all, but if you can, what I'm looking at here is the cross hatching and the cylinder walls. And if you can see here, it looks great. Basically, that's the hone. That's what people call the hone. So the cross hatching, if the cylinders basically look mirror finish and super smooth, that means that the cross hatching or the honing actually was worn off. And what I'm seeing here, guys, the cross hatching is very, very prominent, which means that it is definitely there. So I might just do one quick pass, one hone with the burr, or with the sanding, fucking what are they called, the clay pads or whatever. I might just do one pass, because this is beautiful. This is really, really, really good honing left on here. And that also helps me validate that this motor only has 108,000 miles, because usually, like if we look in the J30, that thing has no cross hatching left. I don't know, the pistons or the cylinders are all kind of gunked up. But guys, yeah, see, you can't even see any, look at that fucking cylinder sleeve is cracked too. But guys, no, you can't see any cross hatch in that at all. It's basically smooth, like it's just metal. Where this, you can definitely see the cross pattern still in there. So that's a great sign. I think that's it for now, guys. I'm basically gonna go over this motor a little bit, and the next video we're gonna start breaking into this motor, and I'm gonna show you guys what I'm doing. And just basically go over everything with you so you guys can follow along. And like I said, I'm gonna take my time on this motor. It is gonna get our 1,000 horsepower J35 rods because I want to be safe on this motor. I want to make sure it can handle it. I'm gonna get all brand new piston rings, which I didn't do for that. I just got a new set, and I just did it, and I replaced just the one piston on there. But on here, like I said, I'm gonna take all the pistons out. I'm gonna clean them unless I can find a unless our aftermarket. So I am talking with a company on J35, J32 forged pistons, but if I can't get that done within the next month or two, I'm probably just gonna go ahead and stay with the stock pistons, to be honest with you guys, because I'm not gonna be pushing this motor past 800 wheel horsepower. So I think I should be okay there, because really right now, guys, the limiting factor for me and for a lot of guys that are wanting to push above 600 wheel horsepower is the transmission, is the third and fourth gear. Sorry, the third and fourth gear is the limiting factor. But like I said, guys, let's start diving into this, and the next video we're gonna start doing that. So once again, guys, thank you so much for your support. Please like, subscribe the video. If you guys have any questions and you want to sign up for Q&A, please go to our Patreon account. You sign up for Patreon, it's only $5 to $10 for the Q&A, or you can just simply support us on there, and it opens up basically a direct line to us. Once you're a Patreon, you can ask us any questions you want in regards to your build, your car, troubleshooting, and we will answer you. And to everybody that sends messages, guys, I'm sorry I cannot. I just personally don't have the manpower or the time to answer every single inquiry or every single question I get. So once again, if you have any easy questions, b6performance.net and accurazyme.com are both great forums that you can go on, and they have a ton of information, bolt-on, troubleshooting, exhaust, pulleys, intake manifolds, throttle bodies, all of that shit, guys. And then secondly, you can also go to our website, HondaJSeriesEngine.com, which is our website, Half-Land Performance's website, and our Q&A performance forum is up and live. So all you got to do is make an account, and you can post as many questions as you want, and other enthusiasts can come in there and answer for you. Or if you have a shitload of knowledge that you want to get out, you can post your own question and answer your own question, you know, basically like a thread in like a performance forum. So that's that, guys. Once again, I hope you enjoyed the video. Please like, sub, share, all that good shit, and don't forget to check out our online store for Honda J Series performance parts and the video description below. All right, guys, peace.